Hi, this is Muho and I haven't been doing an English video in a long time. But the other day, the American publisher of this new book, In the Belly of the Dragon by Philippe Coupey, I hope I pronounced that the right way. I think that's the way we pronounce his name in Europe. Published by Home Press in America. I received this book and I want to use the opportunity to make a new English video. First, about the author, Philippe Coupey. I never met Philippe in person, but we've been exchanging a small number of emails and he has sent me a number of New Year's cards or Christmas cards to Antaiji when I was still living in Antaiji. And I think he has a homepage called Zen Road. I will put a link below, but when I checked it a couple of years ago, it was in French, German and in English. And it was a quite sophisticated homepage, but when I checked it today, it was very simple. So it seemed to be, basically only the front page in French and then a number of links, not so much to find there. Whatsoever, I don't know what happened, but this book, obviously about 15 years ago, the first volume of this book already was published. And this book isn't the second volume, but it contains the first volume, the first half as well, and the second half. So if you buy this book, you get the whole package. The content of the book are Philippe Coupey's comments on the Shinjin-me. In English, it's sometimes translated, I think, as an inscription on faith in mind, or faithful mind. And I remember that a couple of years ago I took turns with Fujita Issho, a Japanese Zen teacher who lived in America for almost 2 decades. He's now back in Japan, and we took turns giving talks on exactly this text, the Shinjin-me, in Tokyo. 1 month I gave a talk, and then the next month Issho-san would give a talk. And although we don't agree on doing it that way, Issho-san kind of ended up emphasizing the non-dualistic aspect of this text. And basically it's a text that is teaching non-dualism. Why I took the position of the how do you say in English? There's this expression advocat diabolo, kind of the the evil guy. I was playing kind of the evil guy by pointing out that talking about non-dualism, I mean the world in itself is already dualistic. You're presuming that there's dualism and there's then the other reality, which is non-dualistic. How come that if you try to teach non-dualism, you need to deny dualism? Wouldn't non-dualism mean that you also embrace dualism? How do you do that? For example, the text, the start of the text, the first lines are, I think, the most famous. Entering the way is not difficult. And the way here, the word also means perfect enlightenment. And it's the great way, it's the all-encompassing way. Entering great enlightenment, all-encompassing enlightenment, is not difficult, but you must not love or hate or choose or reject. To love and hate is basically dualistic feeling. Choosing and rejecting is also our dualistic way. to live this life and to react to people and circumstances. And that's why we don't see the way. That's why we don't realize that we're already inside enlightenment. How can we realize we're already inside enlightenment? Very easy. Just stop loving and hating. Just stop rejecting and choosing. But isn't that strange? That's at least what I said a couple of years ago when I was lecturing about this. And Isho-san was basically saying what I just said right now. And then I would say, okay, okay, I admit that I do love and hate. I admit that I choose and reject things. I admit that I have a lot of preferences in my daily life. And now you, Isho-san, preaching the Shinjin-me, you tell me that for somebody like me, it's not so easy to enter the way. If only I would give up love and hate, if only I would give up choosing and rejecting, I would be already there. But as I'm still stuck in my dualistic thinking, I don't get there. But wait a minute, Isho-san, the moment you say that, aren't you arguing in a dualistic way? How can you say that for the one it's easy to enter because they don't have love and hate? They don't have any preferences. And for the others it's not so easy because they have love and hate. They still choose and reject. In that moment you're choosing the one without love and hate, and you're rejecting the one who has still love and hate. How does that work? Or do you admit that you also haven't attained the way yet? But if that's true, how can you talk about attaining the way if you're not there already? If you would already be there and the way is open for anyone, and inside the way there's no choosing and rejecting, then the way should be also open for those who still love and hate, for those of us, and that's possibly all of us, who still choose and reject. How can you say that it's easy to enter the way unless you love and hate, choose and reject? You're already choosing and rejecting in that moment, aren't you? And then the next line is, if you feel neither love nor hate, your understanding of the way will be clear and penetrating. If you feel neither love nor hate. So what happens if you do feel love and hate? Will your understanding of the way not be clear and penetrating? How come that clear and penetrating understanding is only for those who have gone beyond love and hate, and for those who still feel love and hate? There is no clear and penetrating understanding. And if there's anything like clear and penetrating understanding, shouldn't that understanding also be a clear and penetrating understanding of love and hate for somebody who doesn't experience love and hate? How can he claim to have clear and penetrating understanding of everything, including love and hate? If you're interested in how well Philippe Coupey explains all these paradoxes, I recommend this book to you. One thing that I liked just in the beginning, when he talks about entering the way is not difficult, he continues, sure, but we could also say entering the way is not easy. Entering the way is not easy. Not so many people say that. I like that, Philippe says. entering the way is not so easy. Okay, I hope that the next English video will come sooner than this. See you maybe already in a couple of days. Until then, all the best.